Welcome to the Heroes Institute, my heroes. I'm Damien, and as you can see, we are still doing the conversational approach because it's more natural and it's easier for me to edit and kind of give you guys good information. Anyway, let's get started. So, a few days ago, my friend asked me to do a video about losing weight. She showed me a photo of what this really attractive girl that was smoking hot, and I was like, how am I going to help her do this? How am I going to give some information that helps her lose weight and get this amazing sexy figure? And she's gonna kill me for it, but I'm like, it's a bit of a challenge because you don't exactly have the right body type. Anyway, don't kill me for that, okay? So being the awesome friend that I am, I spent a whole day looking for answers just to help my friend with her sexiness problems. And I did come up with an answer. Good, you know. I found out it's not really about weight loss because you can go to the gym and you can go every single day for a month and lose or burn all that fat and actually end up heavier because muscle is heavier than fat, or it's denser than fat. So the weight loss is not, your weight is not a very good indication of being sexy. What is an indication of being sexy is your body composition and your distribution. So your body is essentially made up of fat, muscle, and bone. And you have different proportions of that. So you can't really change your bones. I mean, not all of us kind of can break our bones and kind of grow them back or anything. So the main things we can really play around with are your fat composition and your muscle composition. And it's all about trying to minimize fat and increase muscle mass because you don't want to have like a big stomach or full of fat, and that doesn't look sexy at all. So I did more research into it and I found out it's not sexiness comes down to ratios. Why would I want to learn about ratios? How does maths make me look sexier? It makes you smarter. Okay, that was cheesy, but you know, in fact, ratios have to do with everything. For instance, if you've ever seen The Vitruvian Man by Leonardo da Vinci, you'll know that the human body is made up of different types of proportions. So the ideal height of a person is supposedly 8 heads high, or about your arm span. Now, what's interesting is that for a woman to be deemed as sexy, she needs to have a waist to hip ratio of around 0.7. And what's even more interesting is that every single Miss American beauty pageant winner has had a hip ratio around 0.69 to 0.72. And also, the stars that we deem, or celebrities that we deem sexy, such as Beyonce, Jessica Alba, Elle Macpherson, they all have a hip ratio around 0.7. So it's definitely saying something. In a sense, Mother Nature purposely programmed these ratios into our biology to allow us to survive as a species. And that's insane when you think about it, because it's so simple, but yet so powerful, and it's what's kept us alive as a species throughout thousands of years. So for women, having childbearing hips is very attractive because it indicates fertility and that the children will be born healthy, and that's very important when you're trying to survive as a species. Now for men, it's about having the wide shoulders and the big chest because that's a sign of dominance and power, and that is also indicative of ability to provide and protect your family, and that's very important. So when you add them two together, it's like it makes a lot of sense why these ratios are in place. Now, and that's why it's so sexy. That's why people just are drawn to it, because it's hardwired into our biology that this is what we are intended to look for. I mean, of course, not in all cases, but in the general consensus is that childbearing hips are sexy for a woman, and for a man, having broad shoulders is sexy as well. As you can see, I can talk all day about the science and evolution of the human body, but I'm sure you just want me to get to the point. How do I become sexy, Damien? Just tell me. Okay, so whenever we talk about health or optimizing our health, we come across this golden ratio. And this ratio goes like this. that 80% of our health is determined by the diets or the foods we consume, and only 20% comes from the exercises we do. And at first I was really skeptical. I'm like wondering, how is diet way more important than exercise? Isn't going to the gym and building muscle more important? And over the years that I've tried this, implemented this ratio and kind of refined it by learning myself all these different techniques, this ratio is not even reflective of true health. So I propose my golden ratio. So my golden ratio goes like this. It is that 60% of your health is determined by the foods you consume. 30% is the rest, the amount of good quality rest you get. And only 10% comes from exercise. And there's many reasons why, but I'll explain this in other videos, because this is a massive topic. So for this video, we're going to focus on diet. Now, how do we optimize our diet to improve our body composition and distribution? Now, there is a lot of different types of diets out there, such as the Atkins diet, the Mediterranean diet, the paleo diet, and a lot of them do work and do create good results. However, my approach is not to give you a strict regime to follow it, because a lot of the cases, to me, they're really rigid and they're very hard to stick to. Instead, I want to give you some strategies and ways to kind of make better choices when it comes to your diet. Okay, so the first strategy is to eat more fats. And yes, I'm telling you to eat fat to lose fat, which does not make sense at all. But rest assured, this is a scientifically proven principle of the human body, that whenever our diets comprise primarily of healthy fats, such as the ketogenic diet, the Atkins diet, or the Mediterranean diet, our body starts to burn fat, starts to use fat. And there's also other benefits of improving cardiovascular health, improving insulin sensitivity, and so forth. We've got a whole host of benefits when we start eating a diet primarily comprised of healthy fats. Now, in order to understand this, we have to kind of go back. We have to take an evolutionary approach, and we have to go back to the Paleolithic era, where we were cavemen, and then when there was a lot of times there wasn't food. Food wasn't readily available as it is now. So the body had to adapt to that, had to learn to store fat, because we don't know when we're going to get fat, so we have to survive, and so we hold on to the most precious energy source, which is fat. Now, the human being, or the Homo sapien, the body of a human being, has not really changed much. We're still exactly the same, pretty much. And by utilizing or exploiting this kind of survival mechanism or tendency of the human being to store fat, we can essentially teach it to start burning fat. So the way we do that is by consuming more fat, because it wants so much fat, because it thinks it doesn't have enough. So when we give it enough fat, it starts to let go. It starts to go, hang on a second, I don't need to store this fat. I can just burn it because there is an abundance of it. So that's essentially the rationale, and it's been proven in many scientific studies and diets that people adopt these days. It's a very popular diet to eat more fat. So the key is to really eat healthy fats, and this involves polyunsaturated fats, especially omega-3 fats, monounsaturated fats, and saturated fats to an extent. I mean, saturated fats are very important, but they've been stigmatized in a way that is related to cholesterol, which is not the case. It's been proven wrong. Anyway, not the point. So basically the main fat you want to avoid is trans fat, which is basically hydrogenated fat. Anything that's been processed or kind of that's clumpy, becomes liquidified. So you want to avoid that. Now, and also you want to start consuming more whole foods that have these type of fats. So foods such as avocados, olives, olive oil as well, nuts, seeds such as chia seeds, flax seeds, and salmon. So these kind of foods are, they're whole foods, and as well as they contain healthy amounts of good fat. Now, next strategy to become sexy and lose weight and all that is to eat more protein. And of course, that's just a given, but let me explain why. So protein, of course, is needed for the repair and growth of lean muscle mass. So that's important when you want to kind of bulk up in certain regions. Now, also protein has a satiety effect on our digestive system. So whenever you consume a lot of protein, your body becomes fuller for longer, and so basically you don't eat as much, because proteins are a very complex type of it's basically a bunch of amino acids arranged in different orders, and it's kind of very hard to break down. So it takes a lot of time and energy to break down, and which prolongs the digestive kind of process. Now, another interesting effect is the thermo effect of food, which is essentially a fancy way of saying the energy it takes to process the food. So the protein has the highest thermo effect of food than the other macronutrients, fat and carbohydrates, because it takes a lot of energy just to break down those proteins and use them as energy or build muscle. So the tip here is basically to eat more protein, and another great tip is to eat as much protein as you can, well, not as much, in the beginning of your day. So your first meal, you consume a lot of protein, which helps or keep you fuller for longer, so you don't start snacking and all that. So foods such as eggs, beans, dairy, seafood are very good sources of protein, and natural and complete sources of protein that help with building muscle mass as well as losing fat. Now, the next kind of strategy is to eat nutritionally dense food. And what I mean by that is not every food is created equal, of course. I mean, certain foods, let's take the example of a piece of chocolate, which is around, just say 40 grams of chocolate is about 200 calories of energy. Now, you could eat that and it wouldn't really fill your stomach. Whereas on the other hand, if you eat something like really dense in nutrients, such as celery, you can actually eat around 1.4 kilos of celery. I don't know how much that is. It's probably like 2 bunches of celery, and it will fill you up. It'll fill your stomach up, as well as it only has 200 calories, believe it or not. So I'll also provide a link to all these interesting comparisons of how 200 calories look like in different types of foods. It's very interesting. Also, by eating these nutritionally dense foods, you also get a lot of nutrients from it. There's a lot of antioxidants and vitamins and minerals and all that in these types of foods, as opposed to eating something such as like a piece of chocolate, which is only going to make you feel hungrier, and it's mostly dense calories. It's just sugar, which is not good for you, of course. So by eating these kind of making better choices in terms of the foods you eat, it will help you kind of lower your caloric intake, which is important in losing weight, and also keep you fuller for longer. So foods such as whole grains and vegetables are the prime kind of foods you want to eat when it comes to nutritionally dense food. Okay, so the next strategy I'd like you to focus on, or like to try out, is to consume more fiber. And I know that a lot of you think, oh yeah, I know fiber is good for you, but why? Fiber, especially soluble fiber, is especially important in terms of improving satiety and also improving digestion. Even more specific, viscous soluble fiber. And viscous soluble fiber are types of fiber that can contain pectins and beta-glucans, which are basically kind of polysaccharides. Okay, without going too mumbo jumbo, let's just think of oats, bran, seeds, nuts, beans, lentils. So those kind of foods are viscous. So when you put it in water in a cup, it sounds like a Bruce Lee quote. When you put water in a cup, it becomes the cup. When you put the cup into water, it becomes... Okay, I forgot the quote anyway. So when you put water in a cup and you put these viscous soluble fiber in it, it becomes mushy. It becomes like a sludge, gooey, jelly, gummy kind of thing. And this is very important when you want to remain full. So it kind of takes its time to move through your digestive tract. And also, apart from taking its time and keeping you full, it helps absorb more nutrients over time rather than kind of just going through your system and just spiking your insulin levels, which is very important when it comes to burning fat and keeping your weight at a good level. Okay, so next strategy is to drink more water. And that's very obvious, but a lot of people don't drink a lot of water, and I don't know why. It's the elixir of life. So some studies have shown that drinking just half a liter of water can increase your metabolism by 30%. It does this by just kind of keeping all the other organs hydrated, because if your organs aren't hydrated, they're not really working to their efficiency, the optimal efficiency. So, and also drinking a lot of water, especially before a meal, can kind of make you feel fuller for longer, so you don't eat as much. And another option is to drink green tea. And I know everyone knows that green tea is awesome for you. You know, it helps promote longevity. It's got a lot of phytonutrients, keeps you calm. But the two kind of benefits, or these, I forgot what they're called. The benefits, yeah, just call it benefits, are it contains caffeine and this chemical compound called EGCG, sorry, epigallocatechin gallate. It's a bit of a mouthful. So, but basically both of these kind of chemical compounds, these active chemical compounds, help improve or increase your metabolism and hence burn more fat. So you can kind of just, you don't have to just drink green tea, you can kind of drink water and green tea. So green tea is kind of like a special drink that you drink every now and then to help you relax and kind of burn fat and become awesome, sexy. Now the last one I like to talk about is intermittent fasting. And I have done a video on intermittent fasting before, so I'll post a link as well, somewhere here, whatever. But the main point of intermittent fasting and how it kind of makes you sexy is that it exploits the fasting phase or the fasting state. You can eat exactly the same meals, you just have to schedule all your meals within a certain period. So what I like to do is I like to skip breakfast, and so I have my breakfast around 12 or 1, and I have lunch around 3, and then dinner at 6 or 7. So essentially it's around a 6-hour window where all my meals, my typical meals, are consumed in one day. So then it's basically another 18 hours until I get fed again, and so my body is basically starving itself, it's fasting. And it forces the body to go in this fasting mode where it starts burning fat because it needs energy to survive. So that's where intermittent fasting produces a benefit, because you basically get all the same nutrients and calories. However, you exploit that kind of phase, that time where you're in the fasting state. So there you have it, guys. These are all the different strategies I use myself, and I've seen great benefits in terms of losing fat and becoming, I like to think, sexier. But you can kind of, as always, I like to add a caveat. You got to just use these ideas and strategies to, you got to find out what works for you. If you're not sure, consult a medical professional, do your own research. However, for me, in my case, I just want to present all the information that I found throughout the years that work for me and that are more effective than the typical methods. So use this, and just remember that at the end of the day, it's really about just, if you want to be sexy, it's really about just burning as much fat as you can and just building those muscles in the right place. So for women, around the lower area, for men, the upper body area. So there you have it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this, hope you learned something awesome, and I hope you become really sexy. Let me know in the comments below what you think, if this is working for you, and your ratios and how they've changed, and if you've noticed people started coming to you and going, oh my god, you're so sexy, I don't know why. It must be your ratios. I'm sure they don't know that. So yeah, that's it. Please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and peace.